Welcome back. We're in Chapter 22, Quiz A, prompt number 2. Great Britain has a great literacy tradition that spans centuries. One might assume, then, that Britons read more than citizens of other countries. Some Canadians, however, feel that a higher percentage of Canadians than Britons read. A recent Gallup poll reported that 86% of 1,004 randomly sampled Canadians read at least one book in the past year, compared to 81% of 1,009 randomly sampled Britons. Do these results confirm a higher reading rate in Canada? Find a 99% confidence interval for the difference in the proportion of Britons and Canadians. Who read at least one book in the last year? Interpret your interval. So what do we know so far? We know the number of Canadians in the survey was 1,004. The proportion of Canadians who read at least one book, 0.86. The number of Britons in the survey, 1,009. The proportion of Britons who read at least one book, 0.81. In order to create a confidence interval, we need standard deviation. So we're going to estimate the standard deviation of the difference. And again, whenever we estimate, we call it the standard error, but the formula is essentially the same. P1 times 1 minus P1 over N1 plus P2 times 1 minus P2 over N2, and take the square root of that sum. And when you do this math, you should get 0.0165. Next, we need to calculate the margin of error, which is the critical z times the standard error. Well, what is the critical z for a 99% confidence interval? Go to your calculator, click inverse norm, 0.995, and you should get a critical z of 2.576. Multiply that by your standard error, and you get a margin of error of 0.0425, which is roughly 4% margin of error. So now we're ready to create our confidence interval. Our confidence interval is estimate plus or minus margin of error. Our observed difference in sample proportion is 0.05. This is our estimate. And here's our margin of error. So we do 0.05 plus or minus 0.0425, which gives us a confidence interval of 0.75% to 9.25%, which you see here. Okay, so now let's interpret our confidence interval. We are 99% confident that the proportion of Canadians who read at least one book is between 0.75 and 9.2 percentage points greater than the proportion of Britons who read at least one book. Ta-da! We're done. Let's just check it out in our calculator. Please go over to Stats, Tests, arrow down to 2 proportion z interval, and plug it in, plug it in. What are you going to plug in? Just a reminder, x is always a count. There are 863 Canadians who read at least one book out of 1,004. So plug in your x1, n1, x2, n2, and your confidence level. When you hit calculate, you should in fact get a confidence interval that pretty much matches ours. There's a slight round off error. They got 0.73. We got 0.75. They got 9.2. We got 9.3, but that's close enough. Okay, so again, we confirmed our answer in our calculator, and we are done with confidence interval.